Everybody's has a chance to be addicted to stuff nowadays, especially nowadays. This addiction I'm talking about now started way back, right? Didn't know I was addicted to it. I'm going to call it corn because I know how YouTube is. YouTube is touchy. I don't expect people to want to chat with me while I'm having this conversation. This is my confession. I'm not expecting anybody to go in the comment section, whether you watch it live on the or watch it on the watch bag. I'm not expecting it. I just like talking about real things. This is not a pity party. This is not a sad video. This is just the truth. The reason why I got addicted first and the reason why I stopped probably you probably won't agree with neither one of them. You probably think they're weird, but it's the truth. Okay. The first thing is started real young. I think most people start watching adult things at the wrong time. I came across it at a young age and something clicked in my mind. I never really been an aggressive dude, never really, really talked about it with women. I kind of, if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. It was one of those things where I really didn't talk about it much. That's why it's crazy I'm even making this video because talking about an addiction, the first step is you even knowing, and I didn't know. I think most of us always feel like we're in control of whatever's going on, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to sit back and realize you're not in control because if you was, you'll be able to stop and start whenever you want to. It's not an easy thing. It's not. When you're really addicted to something, I really think there's levels to it, but it's definitely it's levels, but it's still high levels. It's not a low level. If you're addicted to something, it is a problem that everybody needs to deal with. When it comes to this, naturally as a man, I don't know how other men feel about, their desires or whatever, but I feel like some of us have like a heightened one and we don't want to come off as a creep and stuff like that. So we kind of deal with it in our own way. That way, once we deal with it, we can go into society and act like normal human beings that have self control. When the truth is, you don't really have that much self control. You're just portraying that because you already finished the issue. I know people that smoke every day. I know people, and this is not shaming them. It just these are things that I always thought of to try to kind of cope with my own personal thing. I always like to bring up other people and myself to let other people know that if you're going through something, you're not the only one. You're definitely not the only one. Me bringing up other people is not to shame them or be like, oh, they're doing it too. It's to let people know that don't want to have the conversation. You're not the only one. I know how everybody in society always wants to make it seem like they got it all figured out and they're perfect. They're lying. 99% of us don't know what's going on. Don't want to say 100 because there's always exceptions. Some people have simple lives and they're cool. Most people don't. Me personally, I have self control to a certain extent. But as time goes on, even though I got into this or got into it like when I was younger, you had to really go through hoops to get to adult content back then. I'm talking about if you wanted to see a video, you either had to go to a website that you may get a virus, or you went to a program where you downloaded it and it took forever. So it was like you had to go through so many hoops. And then if you was younger, you weren't able to go into a store and purchase anything adult content. You either found it because your uncle or your parents or um, you just came across it on the internet, and once you come across it, it's just like a human nature. Like you want to see more and more. Some people are able to be like, this ain't right. And some younger people are able to, it's a bad thing. Now you're connected to it and you're a little bit um, above the other children your age if you already been exposed to it at a younger age. Like I said, I know this topic is touchy, but it's the truth. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but this is kind of a dark topic, but it doesn't have to be. Like if people are able to be comfortable and talk about certain stuff like this, it won't be so taboo. It won't be so, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I don't mind being my true self because I would always want to like make other people be the same. Like I'm not gonna tell all my business, but certain things may help other people in the long run. But when it came to this, it's just like I said, I'm only speaking for myself because I don't know how other men deal with their desires and all that stuff. But I love women. I definitely love them. Not, I don't really have no kinks or none of that stuff. I ain't gonna call it weird because I know some people do, but it's like I just love women, and I learned at a young age. Like, and I seen stuff too early, And for a period, I didn't really look at women as women. They were just like in the scene. They was just a part of a scene. They weren't even human beings to me. At a certain, it was a younger age. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about at a younger age. Because when you see certain stuff and you see people portrayed in a certain way, it's hard to like get it out of your mind if that's all you know. And that's why, to me, to this day, there's racism. Like, if you go online and you see, I'm not going to keep going off track, but I'm trying to make my point by like explaining other ways people see stuff. So when it came to women, for me, it was what I've seen and what I've heard, being around older men and how they talked about women. And funny enough, it's not really, you really don't understand like or care for women in a different way unless you have a daughter or, you finally find a woman that is not what you've seen your whole life. But, anyways, I seen him a certain way, so I looked at him a certain way, and I never like talked to them like that when I seen him. It was just always in the back of my mind. I was like, that's how I seen him. Same thing. Like, I'm gonna go back to the racist thing. I understand. I'm not saying it's okay, but I kind of understand certain people that don't be around us black folks. Like, they're out in the county part. If you watch television and you always see us, people my skin tone doing wild stuff, stealing, fighting, if that's the only way you see us, even if you're an adult, if that's the only time you see us is on that, you're probably gonna see, in the even if you're like a good person, in the back of your mind, you're like, that's how I see them. And I always say the perfect example is movies. Like they have people literally custom design people to look a certain way to portray a certain character. That's just how I go, which, that's a whole nother topic. But they, looks and stuff like that do matter. But anyways, back to the thing about the addiction. The reason why I started, right? I want to get to the why I started and why I stopped. And they are completely different. And like I said, most people won't even agree with them. But the reason why I feel like I was addicted to it is because I wanted some type of control. Let me explain. I didn't want to feel like women had that control over me where I will jump through hoops and stuff to deal with them because most women understand how men think. Okay, they want that. So since he want that, I'm gonna make him jump through hoops until I decide when I want. Now, if I'm getting my dealing with my desires in my own hand. That way I had more control and I wasn't running towards every woman to be like, hey, can I get it was like I was dealing with it. So when I went out in public, it gave the portrayal that I had more self-control than I actually did. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I kept it going because I'm like, ain't no woman finna like have a string on me with her like, I know what you want, but you're not getting it until I'm ready. I deal with my desire, then I'm able to talk to her like she's a regular person and be like, hey, I ain't really worried about that. I'm chilling. The problem comes in, right? Is because when you finally get in a relationship with this woman and y'all are just open with each other and it's just, a regular thing in a relationship. If you did, it's hard to detach from already dealing with it on your own. So now when you're in a relationship with a woman, she has her own desires and things that she wants to deal with and wants you, she picked you, she chose you, so she wants you to do with it. And she's not really into the adult videos that I know of. So it's like you're the only person. But yeah, cheating is bad and stuff like that. And it may be a form of cheating for a lot of women. But it's like, yeah, I wasn't cheating, but I still was not being intimate with this partner because watching videos, dealing with it, dealing with the desire putting it in my own I can't even think of a way to say it without making it sound crazy on the video. But dealing with my own desires, right? That's where the problem comes in at. I know people are addicted to it, like to the point where they won't even leave the house. I'm not, that's why I said it was levels. I'm not to that point. It was just more like I wanted to give off the portrayal that I had self-control. So I dealt with it, and I took my desires in my own hand. I'm trying to say it without stuttering, but that's what it is. I put it in my own hand, and that's why it made me more self-control. Now, when it came to the point where I kind of understood it was an addiction, you know, it was mostly because the partners I was dealing with, they was like, what's up? And they assumed I was cheating. They was like, ain't no way a grown man is not asking for it. I'm being intimate and affection, but I'm not really asking for it, not hinting at it. So, in their mind, it makes them insecure because it's like, these other men want it, but the person that I chose don't even want it. So what's wrong with me? Am I ugly? Are they not attracted to me? And that's not the case. It's just men can agree with me on this. Once you finish the deed, then you're kind of like, that's the last thing on your mind. Now you're like, okay, let me get back to work. Yeah, it's everything's back to business. And that's why I kept doing it because it was like, now I'm not some man just always ready to go. Dang, I hit the mic. Now I'm not just some man that's always ready to go. I can put that aside and kind of get business taken care of, which to some people it's a contradiction because a lot of men online and in society, they're like, you need to have enough discipline to not even worry about it at all and get business taken care of. You know, they be talking about no fap and all that. November is the main month where people don't do it. But I'm like, it was a thin line between being disciplined and having self-control. And then it was just like, now, okay, now it's addiction. You want to be so much in control of your own desires that you're dealing with it at your own time. And happened to, I think some women knew that I dealt with, but happened to sit down and talk to a woman about it. It's not a great conversation, but I had to have that conversation to make her feel comfortable and be like, it's not you. It's just I got wrapped in, being in control and having self-control that I took it in the wrong direction. And, some women, they like, if we're not doing anything, why are we even in a relationship? Yeah, it's a little affection, kisses here and stuff like that, but we're not doing that. A lot of women be like, no, we can't do it then. We can't be together if we're not even, that's the highest point of affection is that. And if we're not doing it, what's the point? I understood that. But me, like, the reason why I kind of got off of it, for one, it's like discipline. But it's kind of petty, but well, it's not petty, but I always think like human nature. And I feel like if you're rewarding yourself and you're not really doing anything, it kind of tricks the mind into thinking, you shouldn't be rewarded for nothing. And I think the body, I'm not really big into that stuff, but I was just like, I'm rewarding myself for nothing. And I feel like when it comes to that, like highest point of affection, you're rewarding yourself. You found love. You found somebody you really care about. That's why I think sex is more deep than we. I feel like it's the easiest thing to deal with somebody with, but I feel like it's way deeper than what we, portray it as because it's so easy. Like being in a relationship is 10 times harder, like dealing with bills, dealing with trying to grow, having kids and stuff like that. But if you want relations with somebody, that's like real simple. Get somebody that's attracted to you. It's not simple. I'm not going to say it like that because I know men kind of struggle with it, even me. But it's like it's the easiest out of all the stuff. Having sex is the easiest. It's not easy, but it's the easiest. And I feel like that's why a lot of people, deal with it. And as time goes on, a lot of people are single, and a lot of people don't trust, and a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable. So getting to the adult content is easier for most people. They're like, okay, I really need it, but I don't, really want to deal with anybody, or I don't have anybody to deal with. So I'm gonna do that. And I feel like that is time. That's why I feel like this topic is relatable because if everybody's single, right? And I know there's single people that dip and dab in with other people. I understand that. But when I hear single, I think a lot of people are alone. They don't even have a list of people. They don't have one person they can call when it comes to that. And I feel like human nature is having sexual desires. So a lot of people the easiest thing, as I said earlier in the video, back then you had to jump through hoops to get to adult content. You had to get up and go, either you're embarrassed or whatever. You had to get the courage to go to a store and get magazines. I keep hitting the mic. Get magazines or go to the adult section in these movie places and pick a movie out, and then you had to go take it to the counter, be awkward with the cashier, like, and he not awkward, he probably deal with it all the time, but you had to do it's a lot. And then even back then, as I said before, there was like little softwares where you had to download a video and it took hours. But now I'm talking about even on Twitter, you can find stuff. And it's like, it's all over the internet. It's easy. You'll either find it or it'll find you. So it's like, if you're single, you're lonely, you have your own desires, easy to pick up your phone, look through it, get your, situation off, and then you're back into society. And now you're able to, a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't really need nobody because you just finished that. But, if you're smart enough to know it's going to come back around and nobody wants to be, I say this 1,000 times, but I'm going to say it again. Nobody wants to be alone. We just do things to cope with that type of situation. And then we, in society, we try to make it seem like we're okay. We're not okay, but it is what it is. I'm not saying you need people, but we want deep down, we want somebody. And I'm not gonna. Okay, I'm gonna say it. That's why people get pets. I don't want to keep saying that, but that's why people get pets is because we want something. We need companionship in some type of form, and some people be having kids for that reason, but that's a whole nother that's a whole nother topic. But if you're dealing with an addiction, the first thing, it's hard to even like acknowledge that you're addicted to something because it becomes like natural for you. It's just a daily thing that you do, and that it's a part of your life. It's a part of your daily routine. So it's hard to like be like, yeah, this ain't right. But for me, it lasted so long because I always felt like I was in control and I can stop it when I want to. But funny thing is, it was just it was a thin line between having self-control because after I was done with that, I would go into society. And then it was the other side where it was like, when am I going to stop doing this? And for a man, I don't know about women, but for a man, once you deal with that desire, a lot of the times you don't want to do anything else for the rest of the day. And that's why a lot of men be like, yeah, don't do it at all because yeah, you're doing it with a woman. Now, it's actually it's natural. But doing that and then you're tired, now you don't want to do anything else, and now you're not productive. And now you'll be laying there all day, and then the only time you get up is to do it again. So you don't want to be a man that's locked in that routine, and then you're never going to deal with a woman because a part of looking for a woman, or not chasing, but like trying to attach with a woman, is having that desire deep down, but having self control with it. When you do that deed, that's the last thing on your mind. So now when you go on in society or with coworkers, you're like literally blocking yourself out and being like, yeah, I'm cool. That's just natural. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I didn't expect, a lot of viewers or people to chat. I get it. This is not something people want to talk about, and I get it. But hopefully, the more and more people see videos like this and people coming out talking about their addiction, it will help people be more vulnerable. And then that's where confidence comes from. Loving yourself, learning yourself, making mistakes and being able to fix them. Not fix them, but being able to deal with certain things so you can open yourself up to grow. You have to grow. In order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. And sometimes it takes you seeing a video like this or you talking about it yourself where it can help other people and it can help yourself. We're all human beings. We all have things that we're dealing with. I'm out of that situation now, but I know the reason why I'm able to talk about it is, you deal with it and then you know how it is to not, stop it. So it's a conversation to have because I know how difficult it is to be in that circle and not be able to, get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So uh, thank you, Divine Flower. Yeah, you agree with me. I appreciate that. Um, I go live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I try to make it short if, people are just watching and not chatting. And if people do talk, I'll make the video longer. I'll have that conversation with you. I don't mind it. I don't mind being vulnerable. I never do. I know there's going to be people that think that, it's hard for them to watch this. I know there's going to be trolls where people make fun of you because they want to take the the shine off of them, the light off of them, so they'll talk about other people. But it's over with now. I kind of grew. Yes, awareness is the first step. It definitely is the first step. You have to acknowledge it. And to me, that is the most uncomfortable step, is like acknowledging it. And it is hard to look in the mirror for a lot of us, but most people are single now. And with us being, a lot of people being single and having that accessibility, I don't know if that's the correct word to put in that sentence, but us having everything so accessible nowadays. It's like it's so easy to pick up your phone to order food, to to order food. That's why I see a lot of people being more overweight. It's easy to order food. It's easy to, binge watch something and not really get up and exercise. It's everything is so easy. So I feel like addiction in a lot of spaces are going to be at the all-time high. Even smoking, it's legal now, so you can go to the store. You ain't gotta go through hoops or have a certain man to um, bring you the product. Now you can just order it. You can order gummies. You can do all that. So we're gonna have to be a strong type of people nowadays because you gotta discipline is gonna be the number one thing to get all of us through all of this. Because if it's sitting right there, that's why I think a lot of people. I heard this before. a man was trying to eat healthier, and he had kids. So it was even he. I guess he thought it was more discipline to even to have it in the pantry, like the Oreo cookies, but not touch them. But he was like, no, if you really want to like discipline yourself, you can't buy that at all. Like, don't even have it near you. And yeah, I know there's levels. You could be super disciplined where the stuff is around you, but I'm like, to help your self control, you're gonna have weekdays. You're gonna have days where it's like you don't even care. And you don't want that day to put you right back to where you were. So the best thing to do is on your strong day and your weak day, just stay away from it. Stay away from it. And I feel like the more I just stayed away from it completely, I was able to, actually build self control and discipline where that's the last thing on my mind. I would rather, you know, deal with women the. I, to be honest with you, I don't even know if dealing with your desire on by yourself is actually healthy. You hear that it's healthy, but it's like it's kind of strange now because we don't even know we're being lied to every day. So they may say that because they want, they have their own other agenda. So it may be healthy, it may be unhealthy. I feel like the healthiest route is just having discipline and using that desire to deal with the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever your desires are. But I feel like that's the best way is having self-control, actually having self-control, not doing what I did and dealing with that just so I can seem like I have self-control, just so that it will be the last thing on my mind. No, it's there, it's natural. Leave it there and focus on what's more important, and which is having connection with a significant other because it can ruin relationships. If you're making, I always put it the shoe on the other foot. If I was dealing with a woman and she was addicted to that or would rather do that than deal with me, I would feel some type of way. And some people may feel like it's a form of cheating. So discipline is very hard, but when you get in the good routine of breaking the stronghold, your craving fades. Exactly. With anything. Because I'm talking about my own. I feel like I had two addictions in my life. Um, and one of them, I don't even know if it was addiction, but I had to acknowledge that I was taking it too far. It was energy drinks. I feel like I got addicted to that high. Like when all of us are working so much now, and um, we'll find things that we love just to keep us going. And I feel like the energy drink phase for me, it was lovely just having that boost of energy. And even now they have energy drinks where you don't even crash anymore. Like you'll have the high, but it'll feel like a crash because now you're back tired again. But man, I'm talking about, and don't judge, I'm not talking about you in the chat, but anybody that watched this on the watch back, like monsters, I'm talking about, I know they're terrible for you. I've seen videos I've heard in Red Bull and stuff like that, terrible for you. But I'm talking about them regular monsters. Oh man, they gave me like a certain high that I felt good. But of course, it was like a 2 hour feeling good and then crashing again. Now you're looking for other stuff to try to get you up there. So I was addicted to two things in my life, and definitely I feel like um, the corn thing was bad. I feel like the energy drink thing, it was intense, but it stopped quickly once I was like, yeah, I can't just keep going through this. Like, I'm glad I acknowledged that faster because that is way easier. Like, I feel like anybody can get addicted to energy drinks because how much we be working now, everything's going up, and it's like you want to have a little bit of enjoyment of life. You don't want to be tired all the time. I know people are big on coffee too. And I feel like that energy boost in any type of way is like one of the best feelings to the point where it's a bad thing where you feel like you need it. Like every morning you need some coffee. Every morning. Like um coffee is fire though. I'm talking about when it's made correctly. I don't really crash though when I drink energy drinks anymore. Like I don't want to shout out the energy drink I drink now, every once in a while because the energy drink I drink now, I just like it for the taste. I ain't gonna lie. Like it don't even give me energy anymore. When it comes to coffee, I'm disgusting. I'd rather have a little bit of sugar, but black coffee with a little bit of ice, fire. Flesh is a MF. It seems like food and sex is always the top. See, I'm glad you said that because I don't know. Like, I don't really talk about addiction is not really a conversation we like a regular people have amongst each other. It's kind of like you'll either acknowledge it or you just make it a routine. A lot of people, I did hear a lot of people talk about like energy drinks. They felt like they was addicted to that, but I feel like you're more comfortable talking about that because you can give off the vibe like, yeah, I acknowledge it and I can stop it when I want to, but I'm not. But I've seen people. I ain't gonna say no names and I ain't gonna make no descriptions, but I've seen people what I would work with them all day, and that's all they would drink. I don't know what they did outside of work, but I'm talking about Red Bulls all day. I know people that drunk 5 cans of the regular size monsters a day, and they threw them back like they was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, I never judge anybody because I see people that try to make it seem like they're perfect. I see it every day. I see people that even give off the vibe. Like, and I'm not saying that like I'm judging them, but I understand why people like to make it seem like they're perfect because we see people get talked about every day on the internet in real life. Like we see people get, people will literally look at somebody and just like name all their flaws. So it's like naturally we want to be in defense mode. We don't want to get talked about, so we'll just hide. We'll just hide all of our flaws and stuff like that. Addiction, I'd always talked about openly when it was too late. No shade. Hey. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would never go to those type of meetings to anybody. I don't know. I don't. I always felt like those meetings they never really to me, and this is just my opinion. Those the meetings where people sit around in a circle and talk about I never, to me, it always remind me of like therapy and stuff like that. And I know people believe in that type of stuff, but it's like there's never no end to it. I always hear people go to any type of meeting where they gather around and talk about what they're addicted to, but it's never no end. There's no final meeting. It seems like people just they cope with it. They talk about it, and that's just me. That's just my. I always want to hear an end goal. So that's why I feel like deep down we all are capable, it to a certain extent, we're capable of like acknowledging it and going through the process of stopping the addiction. But it might help for some people to like go around in a circle and talk about that. But for me, I could never do that. I like if I got into the situation by myself, I'm gonna try my best to get out of it myself. I feel like if you have that mindset, it will be better, you'll be able to like try to stop it before it's too late. And I feel like if you have so many different options, and like I said, it's limits, it's levels. And I'm not gonna downplay addiction at all in any level. I'm just saying for me, for me, I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about for me, I got in it by myself and I'm trying to get out of myself. And I feel like if you have those type of cushions of meeting with people and talking about it, to me, it's like a cope, and you're like, oh, okay, and I don't know, you'll find some enjoyment of sitting around people, and you'll have a relation. Look, you brought it up. That's a great point. Right now, I'm kind of ranting because I'm trying to figure out in my head while I'm talking without downplaying addictions because I can't even downplay my own addiction because other people may be dealing with it in a to a certain extent where it's like ruining their life. So it's like it's hard to talk about addiction. It's like a thin line, it's a slippery slope because I got over mine, so it's easy for me to talk about it, but it's like there's people out there that are like literally in the middle of it and they're like the step before acknowledging it. So I don't want to downplay it any type of way. It's just a support group, but it's hard for some people to break. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I can't really. I'm only talking about my personal thing because I really like the fact that people can get in a group and talk about it and like support each other on trying to get over it. I always thought just like therapy, because I tried therapy. I tried counseling with certain other things that I like traumas I dealt with. And to me, it was just like it did nothing for me. But I know there's people out there that it will help them out a lot. And it will be a big stepping stone to quitting. It's just with therapy and all that stuff throughout my life, even when I tried it, it never felt like okay, you're going to go through this process and then there's an end goal. It always felt like I'm paying somebody to try to work out my problems, but it's never no, okay, you're good now. You ain't got to come back. It was always same time next week. Okay. And then in my mind, it's like, okay, this is just like a coping thing for me. I'm never going to end this. This is never going to be over with. But like I said, I'll never downplay like support groups and stuff like that because it may work for other people. And just because it don't work for me, I'm never going to like make it seem like it just won't work for anybody. And corn addiction is more singular and intimate. Okay, and like that's a great point. That is 100%. It's it's a solo thing. So I went in it by myself, and I can get out of it. That is a great point. And then the group thing is more the yeah, can't say that word, but yeah, exactly. So I agree with you 100%. It's just the number one thing is you made a great point, and a lot of the time, like I'm an overthinker, so I'm trying to get used to like kind of not overthinking. And in the midst of me thinking, I'm talking. So it's like I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I'm trying to like really think about what you're saying, but you're making great points. And my specific thing, yeah, I feel like the corn thing was like a more relatable thing. Energy drinks, I feel like it's big, but it's like and it's unhealthy. Let me stop there. I know that's super unhealthy, but I know there's levels to that too. I know people that used to throw them back. Me, I feel like I was at the low level of it where I'll have one a day. Even that is bad, depending on your body type. But it was like I knew, like as I was drinking them, I'm like, yeah. And it was a couple of energy drinks that gave me headaches, like them bangs. I don't know how people drink. I don't know what it is that's in them, but when I drink them, the flavors are good, but they will give me a headache. And stuff like that is like my body telling me, yeah, them other people can probably deal with these. People are drinking them because they're still, people are still purchasing them. But I just wish they had something like something simple for me to give me energy throughout the day where I can get stuff done. Because sometimes even when I sleep, it's like I didn't get enough sleep. And that might be my age. I'm getting up there in age. So that might be it. But addiction is a real thing. The first step, you said it, is acknowledging it. And to me, that is the hardest step because if it becomes a routine, you won't even trip off of it. You'll just be like, oh, let me stop at Starbucks and get my coffee, or let me stop at the gas station and get these three Red Bulls for breakfast, noon, and night to get me through the night. And like I said, we're working more. Everybody's working more. Them truck drivers are on the road all day. People at the warehouse for 12 hours. Overthinkers definitely can say four different words at once. Definitely. I don't know if you're an overthinker too, but you are correct. It's like I'm more of a thinker where I'll sit back and before I even say anything, I'll analyze it in a million different ways, and then I'll come up my own with my own like perception of it or perspective, and then I'll say, but I don't like speaking on things I don't really know about. Like I never wanted to be that person because I want my words to hold weight. And if you're one of those people that try to act like you know everything, or people that just overdo, do research on everything and feel like they know it all, I don't like those type of people. I like to experience it, do a little bit of research, come up with a perspective, and still try to learn in the process. Even when I say stuff, you could come across somebody that would change your whole perception of something. So I feel like we should all be a sponge and just keep learning instead of feeling like we're a pro at something and then that's the limit. There is no limit. Like you could keep learning stuff. There's things I dealt with that people may downplay and vice versa. So I definitely, yeah. And I to be honest with you, I may be addicted to other things in my life that I just don't know about, and I haven't like I'm not self-aware enough. I may be addicted to making videos. I feel like that may be an addiction that may take over my life at one point, but I'd rather have more positive addictions. Um, and that's probably why one of the main reasons I acknowledge the corn thing is because it was affecting other people. I feel like if it didn't affect anybody else, I probably would still be doing it to this day. But when it started affecting relationships with people, that's what made me be like, yeah, this is not fair to them. Like I'm involving other people in my downfall. And that's what made me stop. And I feel like that's the same thing with, you know, schmugs, like doing schmugs. I feel like when it's affecting other people, it's one thing to affect you. That's still bad. But when it starts affecting your family and you start doing things to get, to where you want to be as far as like in a negative way, like a certain high, that's when it's like it's overboard. And like I said, dealing with your even when it's still bad when you're affecting yourself 100%. But when it's the number one thing with me, I'm just gonna say it. I like to overindulge. Like anytime I deal with something I like it, I'll 100 miles per hour, I deal with it. So I had to learn that about myself. That's why I try to pick and choose what I deal with. I said in the last video about accountability and consideration. I try. Like I'm far from perfect, but I always try to think and like have consideration for the next person. Like if I'm gonna do stuff to myself and harm myself in any type of way, that's one thing. But not saying people are innocent, but when it comes to that, I shouldn't be no. So that and this may, people 100. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but even driving, like this, people that speed and stuff like that, maybe I'm over it. Like I have too much consideration, but I'm like, even with driving fast, I drive fast unless it's an emergency. But it's like when you're driving fast on the road, you're flying past a whole family of people. You don't know who's in the car. It might be an older person, it might be a new driver, and you're swerving through. Like I never will understand that. I think I have too much consideration for other people to a point because some people they don't care. It's like selfishness. It's all about them. They're putting themselves first. I've never been that person, and it has been good for me, and it definitely has been bad. But I never want to put people in like certain predicaments. Like I think I was about to bring it up, but in the last video, I was like, uh, being able to approach women. I'm like, if I was really good at that, everybody in my town would know me, all the women, because I would just do it. And that's how I am. Like when I'm good at something, or if I feel like something makes it easier for something else, I'm gonna go 100 miles per hour. And that's why I try to watch what I'm good at. And to this day, I never will approach a woman that I don't know. Not saying I'll get great at it or whatever, but I feel like I'll find ways to work on it. And then now I'm annoying. Yeah, I'm good at something, but now I'm annoying. I don't want to be annoying. So I try to work on things and try to be better at certain things that don't bother people. And as far as addiction, once it starts affecting other people, that's okay. Now I got to stop. It definitely got to stop. And I think corn addiction definitely ruins relationships. I definitely ruins families, you know. And I do you deal with burnout often after you realize you have a new interest or really like something? I don't really get burnt out at anything. Um, after you realize you have a new interest or really like something? I don't think so because I'm big on consistency. And I'm gonna give you an example. When it comes to working out, and some people are different, but when it comes to working out, like doing a workout health wise, I always keep stuff simple. Like even with a workout, like I don't go to the gym. I'll do little workouts at home, but I never want to get to the point where I go super hard in something and then I don't even want to do it anymore because I can't keep up that same intensity? That's a great question, though. You're asking too many good questions and saying too much good stuff that's making an overthinker think. But I guess I'm gonna say yes and no because I can't say I never got burnt out or something because I can't think of it now. But I know for a fact I'm big on consistency. So if I feel like I'm going too hard on something and I can't keep it up, I'll try to like push it back a little bit because there are some days when you're in a gym, and this is just me, like I'm like, oh, I want to go hard. And then there's some days I only want to go. So I'll try to find a middle ground where I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it basic. Because I'd rather leave the gym feeling like I can do more than leave the gym and be like, yeah, I can't do that every day. Have you? I'm still reading your because this is something. It's something to think about. Because I'm trying to think, have I ever got burnt out of something? I know I don't get burnt out often, but usually when I have like a new interest in something, like I still take it slow because what is it called when you imposter syndrome? Like with anything, when I'm going into anything new, I always feel like I shouldn't be there and I'm not good enough. And the number one thing, the best example for that is when I started driving, like for the first time. Like I loved driving, but every time I was on the road for months, I was like, I felt like, I'm not good enough. So I try to take my time with it and like really understand the road. That might be a terrible example. I'm sorry. But you're asking too many good questions and put me on the spot, and I'm trying to answer them as best as I can. But these are great questions. 100%. I'm gonna be thinking about this all day, and then I'll be like, dang, I have got burnt out of something. Like everybody has that situation where you argue with somebody and then you think about later like what you should have said or questions you should have asked back or points you should have made. I think I'm one of those people. So I need to get better at like answering questions on the spot without overthinking it and kind of like, it's a great question though. Burnt out, like I'm trying to avoid getting burnt out being on YouTube. Like if I'm telling you, because I wanted to go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But then once a couple of weeks, I was like, yeah, I can't do that. And I don't want to stop it completely and get burnt out. So I'm like, let me try just doing 3 days. So it's funny you say that because it didn't almost happen, but I kind of felt the burnout. I'm like, when you first start streaming and going live, it's not gonna be a lot of people on there. So you're gonna do a lot of talking to yourself. And I feel like that will be a big burnout. It's like and very discouraging. Um, I know you're not saying anything about discouraging, but that would make me burn out faster if I'm discouraged. Because I don't think I'll get burnt out if things are going good. I don't think I can get burnt out if I have a something that I'm really good at. Because then I'm just gonna find ways to love, continue to do it. But yeah, that was a long rant, but that was a great question. That was a really good question. As I'm doing this video, I'm understanding that I'm actually happy that, somebody was talking back because I really thought that nobody would actually interject or be a part of the conversation because it's a touchy subject. You know, I understand a lot of people when they come online, they want to be entertained, they want to laugh, they want to have fun. You know how you become so passionate with something and then out of nowhere you chill on it? Yes, yes, 100%. And I feel like you're passionate about something, but a lot of times what makes me chill on it is being discouraged. Like feeling like I had a problem with this with YouTube is like you're very passionate about it. And I think when you first feel that passion, you either want to find people that are as passionate about it, or you wanted people to like support you because you're passionate about something. But those two things didn't happen for me. Like I found out something I loved, and nobody cared. But has that ever happened to you? You're saying it like it happened to you, but what is something that you was passionate about and you like lost interest in it, or you chilled on it a little bit? Because for me, it was YouTube. Like after a while, I just had to say F it and be like, yeah, they don't care how passionate I am about this, and they don't want to be a part of the growth. And I'm not saying like I have main character syndrome. It's just when I find it, like when I learn somebody's passionate about something, I'd be like supporting it because I'm like finding passion in anything is very difficult. So when you do find it, like would just support somebody, whether it's making music, doing art. Like I really like it makes me happy for somebody. Now, on the flip side, since finding passion is very difficult, I know people don't know how to support somebody that's passionate about something because they never been passionate about something and they never like had that urge to get support. So me supporting people is me giving people what I wish people would do for me, you know. And I understand what I'm trying to do. It can give off a certain vibe where it might rub people the wrong way. People might think I'm self-centered because I'm on camera. They may think I have main character syndrome and stuff like that. And there's levels to it. I may have a little bit of that, but you know, I think it's normal to feel tired of something you're passionate about. You take a break from it for a while and then come back to focus on it again. Everybody needs a break from different things. 100%. 100%. Um, I think for me, it's keeping me like passionate about something, not really taking breaks because I'm just on a mission right now. And I agree with you 100%, Penelope. I 100% agree because I definitely took breaks in my passion. I 100% did. But it was like, after a while, I'm like, yeah, I don't really like how my life is going. And my passion can be a lifestyle, and it brings me some type of happiness. So it's like, yeah, breaks are good. I used to be a tattoo artist and I went to the military and I feel like I lost that spark of passion. I started to tolerate it. I figured I literally got burnt out. I don't know. I feel like a lot of times like society wants us to be like in a certain structure. I don't think society is built for people following their passion because there's not really any room. Just talk about for me, for instance, when it came to like videos and stuff, you have to have a certain amount of energy or creativity. But it's like society will lock you in a like a certain way where it's all about work, it's all about proving people you have money. It's all about like then you got to deal with family and relationships. It's so layered, and I feel like passion is at the very bottom. So I don't think you're necessarily burnt out. I just think you kind of pushed it out of your life, and other things fill that void. If that makes sense. I see I'm static in a little bit. Hopefully it stops. But yeah, that sucks though. Like I hate to hear that. And to your point about being a tattoo artist, like it sucks because when I work around older people, it kind of like makes me over like rethink what I'm doing in my life because I'm like, life ain't gonna like put everything in front of you and be like, no, don't work here till you're old and no, like me, and it might sound messed up, but me like seeing older people working at a job, it's like I understand at some point they gave up at what they really wanted to do. Hopefully that's not true. Hopefully they love the job so much they don't care. But it's like I don't want to be me personally. I don't want to be that person that regrets not following my passion or takes too long of a break because everybody does need breaks. But as I said earlier, I try to avoid being burnt out, so I'll try to make it. I'll try to make it where I can be consistent without the burnout. So if it's dropping one video a week, I'd rather do that than drop a video every day for 3 months and then never coming back to it. So yeah, I don't want to fall into that trap where I just give up or take too long of a break because when it comes to me, I'll take a break and never come back to it. You know what I'm saying? I'll end up just getting in line with society and just going to work and coming home, going to work and coming home. So I try to avoid that at all costs. I don't ever want to take too much of a break where I just say, forget, what I really want to do in life. And this is what I really want to do. I really want to connect with people, have conversations, have those hard conversations, and be able to come back to these videos in the future and, see the growth that I had. But it's easy. I'm sure it's easy. Man, I hope it's not a whole bunch of static. To be honest, I hate seeing elders working at a job because they have to. Exactly, and they don't want to. Yes. That's why I understand, and I don't want to be this person, but I definitely understand like people that are old and bitter because I know for a fact, because time waits for nobody. And I know there was a certain point of their life that they, was interested in something. It might have been society telling them it was stupid. It might have been close family, friends. It might have been them making too many bad mistakes or being too invested into something where it didn't work out, where it was like, nah, I got to work. Like, I want to be able to, even if I end up being an older person, which I hope don't happen, like older person that's working, I still want to be able to be like, I tried my best in something and it just didn't work. Because sometimes it's not going to work. Success is not guaranteed. There's different levels of success, but the success I'm aiming for is not guaranteed. But I'm definitely going to put as much effort as I can into it where I'm okay, it didn't work out. There ain't no regrets. So, yeah, I definitely hate seeing older people work, and it made me make me sound like a terrible person. But I use that as motivation because I'm like, I don't want to be that because I don't know what the situation is. They might be an older person that's just retired and they're bored. But either way, I'd rather for the rest of my life because I'm getting up there in age. I want to do what I love doing. Okay, in any type of way, even if it's right after work, even if it's before work, I'm gonna put that effort in because I don't want to have to deal with that. If I'd rather be addicted to my passion, if anything, let me be addicted to that, addicted to the high of doing what I love. You know, I'm okay with that. I'll definitely do that. But I'm definitely big on like I don't even know how you build discipline. I don't even know like the correct definition, but I want to be able to have discipline enough to be aware of certain things, no matter what it is. And I don't know. That's why I say I feel like nobody has it figured out because the older I get, the more things are even more confusing than it was when I was a child. Like I was one of those kids where I was like, yeah, I don't understand it now, but when I get older, I'll understand it. But no, because and now that I look back, when I was young, people that I knew that was older than me didn't have it figured out. So it's like I don't think we'll ever have it figured out. It's just you kind of like you figure out as you go, but it's nothing is guaranteed. Success isn't guaranteed unless you know it's going to work. If you believe it, it'll work. It'll work. Yeah. It's different levels of success too. It's definitely different levels because your success may be different from the next person. And I want to, I don't want to get too far into that neither, where it's like nothing, I'm never satisfied with anything because you want to have a certain level of being satisfied, but not settling. And I want to have like a thin line between that because a lot of people they can look at me and be like, you're successful. Just being able to do what you do, even if the numbers ain't there, people will never be able to get to this point. But I'll be trying to do that, but I'm so humble where I'll be like, yeah, but this ain't enough. And there's a thin line. That's why I say we don't know anything. There's so many thin lines, there's so many gray areas. Life is about balance. It's about balancing, being humble, but being confident, being, you know, uh, doing something every day, but not being addicted. Like it's a lot. And that's why I love having these conversations because I want to hear other people's perspective if they dealt with it before. If they're going through something where they feel like they're doing too much, or they're going through something where they feel like they're not doing enough. And it's confusing, especially for a person that overthinks. And we definitely know that I overthink 100%. So I definitely I'm probably going to end it here. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button if you enjoyed the conversation, whether you're watching it live or watching it on the watch back. I go live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Like you said, I don't want to burn out. So I try to like get close to an hour with the conversation. Because if I did one video for 3 hours, I wouldn't be able to do it every day. So I try to do like an hour length. But I appreciate your time 100%. I don't care if you've been in here 10 seconds or you was in here the entire time. I don't care. I appreciate it when you're watching on the watch back, leave a comment. I'm going to respond to it. Unless you're trolling, then I don't want to hear it. But if you're asking honest questions or you're saying whatever, I'm going to respond to it because that's what this channel is about, is building a community of people that are willing to think, willing to, get off the surface level and be like, okay, what else though? What about this? You don't always have to agree with me with anything, but it's how you disagree. That's my biggest thing. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. If it's even if there ain't no such thing as a bad day, it's a bad moment. Keep it going. That's what I always, tell myself. Whether you have a bad day or good, I'm going on a rant. But long story short, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time because you can't get time back. And you enjoy the rest of your day.